begin with, the honor is all mine. Um, I am not a person to keep dates and statistics and things like that, so I really don't know when it started, whether it started before I came to Bahrain or what, but quite definitely when I landed here in 1964. It was a very gradual process. I just started helping in the church wherever I could, Sacred Heart Church. I have a bit of history, not myself, but my husband's family, because they came here in 1919, which is a long time ago. They were the first Catholics to land in Bahrain. And so they also did a lot of work. There was not that much to do, except take care of each other and the few families. And they were instrumental in building the Roman Catholic Church. So I don't know, many people ask me this question, but I have no clue. It seems to have just been in me. And I'm pretty sure God had a plan for me, like He always has for each one of us long before we are born. And this was something that seems to have come naturally. So I cannot really specify a date and time when, it started. But I started doing work in the church, and one thing led to another. And one of the things that I realized now, I didn't think I was doing anything so different, was we don't have undertakers here, so there was a necessity, there was no one else to do this, so I washed and got my mother-in-law's body ready for burial. And that became something that I did for many, many years. And I seem to be remembered for that more than anything else. And I realize now that it is something that it won't come so naturally to everybody. And then, of course, with the building boom and all that came people with problems, not being taken care of. And to my good luck, over the years, the government of Bahrain gave us this beautiful opportunity of having an NGO to officially register with the government of Bahrain. I'm a founding member there, and it just comes naturally. That's all I can say. If there's somebody who needs something, I just go out and do the best I can with the facilities that are affordable to me. It's a bit difficult. It is. I wasn't expecting that write-up that came out. Very few people I know get a whole page dedicated to them. But you have to remember that to me, it's just a privilege and an honor and a blessing, that's all. These things, I'm honestly saying there are times when I think, who are they talking about, And I don't mind being called anything by anyone. I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm not your mama, I'm not your aunt. To me, it doesn't really matter. Each time somebody says that to me, it shows a sign of trust and encouragement and love more than anything else. I just take one day at a time. I find it difficult to talk about myself. I know now at this age that I have done sort of great things for the migrant workers, especially people who are done. And it's not just migrant workers, because I would do it for anybody who comes to me and with any kind of help. But the thing that if you don't mind me saying this, I want to pass on to people is, don't promise anything to people, because you have no idea how any case is going to end. And don't give people false hope. Keep them in the loop all the time. They're entitled to know what's happening to them. Don't speak for them. You can speak on behalf of them, but don't speak for them. And treat people with respect, and I think that has earned me back all this love and attention that I'm getting now. Again, I get asked this question all the time, and I've had so many beautiful moments, so many sad moments, but I would truthfully say that my third son, as most people know, was born with a very rare bone condition, and he was in a wheelchair. He had over 250 fractures, which is more than people go through life without breaking of a single bone. And this son of mine was my hero. Not only mine, he seems to have, I wouldn't say inherited this from his father and myself, but he was just a good person. He couldn't go to school because there was no way we could send him anywhere. His bones were like eggshells, they would break for any reason. But he was self-taught, and the wonderful thing is, all from a wheelchair, he went on to hold down a job for 12 years in Yellow Pages. They created an award in his name that's saying something for somebody who never went to school and I think without saying it, he was the highlight of my life. He passed away in 2006. Yeah, I miss him, no doubt, but at the same time, I was in a way so relieved that his pain had come to an end, because you got to sit and think of what 200 and, I stopped counting after 250 fractures, but I don't have that. I've had several highlights, but I don't think of it in terms like that. I've won a lot of awards. They're all very wonderful, but I always think it's a joint effort. It's not my effort alone that has earned me these things, but obviously they can't give it to everybody. And but I've also come to the conclusion that every time you are awarded by anybody, whether it's a government or an individual or a church, that much trust they're putting in you, so you have to give back, your responsibility to your fellow brothers and sisters becomes that much more. That's the way I see life. Maybe it's not everyone's philosophy, but it's got me to where I am now. Well, coming from me, it would be a slightly different take, because this was home to my husband. He was born and brought up here. He wasn't an Arab, but I told you, my husband was born here, one of 10 children. So when I came here, I got, this was already home to me. I love this country very much. I've had a wonderful run. I've met some amazing people. I've met some not so amazing people, but that's all part of life. Yes, I agree, Bahrain is very safe, very comfortable, because above all, I should know that, because when I get a call from a police station at 3 o'clock in the morning, I jump in my car and I don't hesitate to just drive. I get a call from the hospitals. This has all been part of my wonderful experience, which I've been privileged to have. So in that sense, yes, Bahrain is good. Unfortunately, and this is not peculiar to Bahrain, there will always be people who will take advantage of vulnerable people. And then that's where I thank God that people like myself and my team, including Yvonne and a few very dedicated people, because this work that we do takes a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication. We've managed, but now it is still, but it's not the same Bahrain that I knew when I came in 1964, obviously, because we've evolved. This is the price you pay sometimes for democracy. but still we have a lot of freedom. We have freedom of press, which we are very happy about. Up to a certain extent, you have to know how far to go. Freedom of religion, look at us, we are able to worship in our own ways. And Bahrain has always been that way. You know, NEC Church is over 100 years, much over 100 years old. So the Sacred Heart Church is about 80 years old. So these are things that are indications that the ruling family, the people who govern us, you know. But having said all that, we also have a responsibility as expatriates to give the best you can, you know. And if you don't like it now, it's come a point in time where people are leaving and for many reasons and going back, which is also not a bad thing, because I believe firmly that at some point we must try to go back to our roots and contribute in any way you can to wherever you came from, because this is eventually not a permanent home. They've welcomed us, they've kept us here very well, but there's nothing wrong. This is one of the things that the young people here, I hear a lot of them, oh my goodness, I cannot think of going back to India, and I cannot think of going back to Sri Lanka or anywhere. I don't think that's, in my book, not what you should be thinking of. You know, think bigger. What can you go back to your country and do? I've had a wonderful time here. 56 years is not a short time. And, I'm going mainly back because of my need to be near my family, because you've got to be realistic in life also, you know. And to you young people, I'll take the liberty of saying, enjoy life, don't hurt anybody, and think of the future. Put a few pennies away, because that is important. That's again a difficult question for someone like me, because I have not devoted too much of my energy. I'm not an activist to begin with. And from the time I have been born until now, I'm 75, you may not say you've got equality and all that, but those are things that on a personal level has not influenced me or touched me that much. Because whatever it is, I think women also, without being pushy, without being, you know, demanding all these rights, need to contribute, to come up, to stand up and get their sisterhood together. I've never been in all those sort of things. I'm not the sort that would go waving flags and going on the roads and things like that. But I think as individuals, now I'll give you myself, and I have to talk about myself. I came to Bahrain. I haven't been even to college. My parents couldn't afford it. Even in school, I was sent back so many times because my fees of 5 rupees, those days 5 rupees was quite a lot, but they would send you home. And somehow you did all that, and now people don't believe that I didn't go to college. So there are opportunities out there for women. You could learn. The whole life is a university, but you have to be like a sponge to absorb it all. And I understand what you're saying, but that's just one of the issues that are going on around the world. There's poverty there, and that affects men and women and children. But for women, you got to do the best that you can with what is on offer for you. You keep on sitting and cribbing about these things, nothing's going to happen. So I came here, I have no qualifications except my high school. Of course, those days, high school was also quite a big thing because we had very good schools in those days. Came here, I started on 30 dinars. It was 300 rupees a month in Gulf Aviation. I took the first job because those days it was shorthand typist. And from there, I don't know how I did it, except that I don't know the word no. So I learned, and I ever ready battery that people used to call me. And by the time I left in 2003, that is saying a lot, older people had this thing of loyalty. You need a lot of loyalty. And I worked in just one company for 36 years. And I retired as the deputy director of the Amiri flight, which is saying a lot, you know what I mean? From 30 dinars a month. So if you skip, you don't dwell, continue. And I didn't do that by getting any favors or anything. I worked hard. And I think that's what young girls also need to do. You can't just climb the top automatically. Do it yourself, take pride in your work, be honest, be sincere, and I can guarantee you, you will go places. Because young people nowadays, women and men, I think you'll acknowledge, all the opportunities are there. And if people like me can do it with nothing, coming from nothing, I came from a very poor background. All these things shouldn't stop you, you know, you don't dwell on that, you just move forward. Don't cut someone else out to get forward, but you can do it, and women can do it. And I'm so proud, because when I came to Bahrain, the Bahraini women were so, not suppressed, but you never saw them around. And now I get quite a smile, grin. I grin when I see in the supermarket that the husband is pushing the trolley and the wife is walking along, or he's carrying the baby. That's the changes that are coming, you know. So I think the media plays too much of a role in this thing of gender equality, and you know. And sometimes I find it, maybe that's my way of looking at it. I still want a man to get up on a bus and give me a seat. You know, so what's wrong with that? I'm not going to say, hey, what do you think? I'm equal to you. I can stand. If someone gives me a seat, I'll sit. So we women need you men a lot too. There's no denying that. Sorry if I'm talking a lot.
No, that's okay. You mentioned that you worked for the same company for 36 years. And you were still working for the Migrant Workers Protection Society during this period?
Yes, like I told you, it started very gently. I was doing it, I was bringing, the church would ask me, could I take somebody who's come there, who's a destitute person, take them to my home. I would do that. Then I started this dressing of bodies and all the burials that went on. And you see, because of my son, God has everything planned for you. Like for example, because my son was in a wheelchair, I always had a station wagon, you know what a station wagon is compared to a salon. And that doubled up as a hearse. Now where did I think I would do that, you know? And I like making, not fun, but I enjoy everything that's going around me. For example, I would be my husband, poor man, was roped into making the coffins because we don't have any undertakers here, you know. And so I would put the coffin in my car, in the station wagon, and I'd drive it to the mortuary, and I'd get quite tickled. All the other cars will go slowly behind me through respect, and I used to giggle and think, there's no body in the car, but you're doing this. You know, you have to have a sense of humor in life. And that, I think, has carried me quite far. Because I'm known for this. I'm known for being a fun-loving person. I love to dance and jig around and, you know. Well, I've never thought of myself as being, you know, selfless and unselfish and all that. And at this point, I got to say, my family, especially my husband, I always say this, that he was the wind beneath my wings. He was a very quiet, gentle person who didn't want to get involved with all this running around that I did, but he never stopped me. He encouraged me, and all he used to say to me, only don't pull me around when you're going anywhere. But he played a great part in my life, because I was also very, I'm just a person who's interested in everything. You can call me nosy if you want, but that's it. In those days when I came to Bahrain, we didn't have hotels and, to go and celebrate weddings and christenings and all. So we had a band of very nice people. You must remember Bahrain those days was simple living. We would all get together. Some will make the sandwiches, some will make the patties and things like that. And for Christmas parties, Christmas trees, 250 children, it was just a joy. Now these things are gone from this country, the simple pleasures in life. But I was very fortunate to come in contact with the right people at the right time. And I think I just enjoy life, whatever circumstances. Like today was such a wonderful day for me. I've had these moments, and up to joining the migrant workers officially, I've been the chairperson. I was for 8 years. I had the privilege and the honor of meeting big people, small people, and it was to me it wasn't something, I met like. You probably know 2 months ago I went to just say thank you to the Crown Prince, and I went to say on behalf of all the work that he's done, not that I wanted, and people said, what did he give you? And I said, I didn't go there to get anything, The very fact that he sat and gave me his time was so marvelous. So and this is nothing that you or all three of you would not do, but you've got to keep your eyes open for these opportunities. Start small, and it goes. I also make fun of the fact that because I was in this kind of circle and slowly people began to recognize my work, I used to tell people, one of the perks of my work is that I get invited to all these big receptions and big banquets and all that, which it's sort of networking. Actually, after some time you can think, oh my goodness, again I got to dress up and go. But you do it and enjoy every moment that you get. Stop cribbing. I hear too many people complaining, Yes, of course life is hard for everyone. Very hard it was for me. As you said, I had my son who needed taking care of, but I enjoyed it. So yeah, I have wondered about that too, because I've been noticing that the more gadgets, and I call myself a technological peasant. I am not. I'm at heart, I was brought up, I trained to be a shorthand typist, and I can still out-type you any day or even on your computer. But I've thought of that. The more these things are supposed to make your life easier, I don't know, why are people, it's so sad, you're sitting somewhere and everyone's on their computers, and on their phones, and you think, that's why you're not able to see. You haven't got a peripheral vision, You go to a restaurant to enjoy yourself, or you go to a wedding, you're not there to sit down and with this. The media is such an advantage, no doubt, but it's got lots of disadvantages to maybe old people like me. I admire it. I'm able to I can do my present work even that much more. But I think you have to know your limits when it comes to these things. And I know the media can also, but I know for sure the media has helped my Migrant Workers Protection Society a lot, because we are so grateful, and I say to the government all the time that Bahrain, we do have freedom of press, up to a certain extent, no doubt, but there's no, you'll agree, most countries, even in the Gulf, don't allow you to talk as freely as we are talking in the press. So that's a big advantage. You young people need to use it to the maximum good. Learn from it. Very often you think that Google, you just everything comes down, and yet people are not using it to that maximum. I'm finding, I don't know. So, my time is now winding down. Well, you see, the thing is, we're all volunteers in this organization, so you can't force a volunteer to be 100% committed. But yes, you need committed, you have to have committed people to do this kind of work. And I've always been very happy to share any of my experiences with, you probably know that Yvonne and myself, we work very closely together. She's one of the pillars of our society. But unfortunately, there are time constraints, there are other constraints that keep people from, you see, this word human rights is a very fashionable phrase to use now. Everyone wants to think that they're doing it. It's not that simple. Like we have 54 people on our board, in our society, but we only have about 5 or 6 100% totally people. And I know from experience that, because I can talk, I've done it, you can make the time for things. Maybe not get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and rush to the hospital or the prison or whatever, but there are lots of ways you can do it. That's been one of our hopes, and I've said this umpteen times at different presentations, that the day there is absolutely no abuse of a migrant worker, we could close our society down. Maybe the day is coming. I don't know. But you see, one thing you must remember, it is not the problems of abuse and rape and all these things. It's not exclusive to Bahrain, it's not exclusive to the Gulf. We have to keep that in mind. It is a global issue. It's happening right now in England, it's happening in America. May not be the same things as here. Like here we are having non-payment of salaries. This is our biggest issue now. And substitution of contracts and all, but it is happening. Take it from me, it is happening in every part of the world. And this is human nature, you know, to take advantage of vulnerable people. Trafficking in persons. It is a sad thing. And one of the gentlemen in the church service just said to me, "You remember you took me to El Amare?" And I thought, yes, look at that. One case satisfactorily closed. All our cases don't get 100% satisfactorily closed because unfortunately in this part, because of the kafala system, you know, the sponsorship system, the only things many of these women especially can only go back to India. I mean, wherever they come from. But even that is an uphill drive for us. So when you finish a job and that person goes back, you know, many people have asked me, what is your best moment in your life? And I can truthfully say it's a morning 6 o'clock when you're dead, fast asleep, and you get this call from someone in India or Sri Lanka or something, and they say on the phone, "Madam, hum pahunch gaya," means I reached my home. Then the mother-in-law come on the phone and the mother, can you put yourself and see, well, that is tremendous satisfaction. You don't want medals. You know, I suppose you know I got one of the highest awards from the government of the United States. They give every year about 8 to 12 people around the world are given this thing, hero or heroine in trafficking in persons. It's considered to be a very big award. But to me, the award is when I get these calls, when I get that gentleman saying to me, and I said, everything fine? Yes, I got my changeover. So you become the mouth for people. Don't be rough and tough and, you know, oh, God, that's another thing. Diplomacy is very important in this line of work we do. And thank you all so much for thinking of asking me.